Hello everyone and welcome to Just Joking, and today we are going to talk about the North African and the European campaigns during World War II. I am Sarah Nicholas and my co-host Abraham and Jonah.
Our topic about the North African and European campaign during World War II. We are going to take a look back into the 1900s, where the North African campaign started during World War II. A series of battles were fought for the control of North Africa. When Benito Mussolini took Italy in the war, the Italian forces in North and East Africa were overwhelmingly superior in numbers to the scanty British forces opposing them. However, this quickly changed as the allies of German and Italy forces fought for control in the hot desert of North Africa from 1941 to 1943. The Battle of North Africa was primarily a struggle to control of the Suez Canal, access to oil from Middle East and raw material from Asia, but also an effort to drive Italy out of war and prelude the invasion of Southern European and a planned bombing campaign against Germany. What led the North African and European campaign, and how did it impact the world as we know it? Let's find out!
To understand the North African campaign, we need to go back to the mid-1900s, after the invasion of Ethiopia by Italian troops in October 1935. The British and French proposed a secret agreement that would have ceded the bulk of Ethiopian territory to Italy in exchange for a truce. That secret agreement called the Hor-Laval Treaty.
After the invasion of Ethiopia by Italian troops in October 1935, the British and French proposed a secret agreement that would have ceded the bulk of Ethiopian territory to Italy in exchange for the truce. The Hor-Laval Pact was crafted in the hopes of preserving the Stresa Front. In April 1935, alliance that had pledged Britain, France, and Italy to jointly oppose German rearmament and expansion. In fact, just the opposite happened. Fascist Italy turned its back to the dramatic West and took the road of alliance with Nazi Germany. On October 25, 1936, the Rome-Berlin Axis was proclaimed, but Italy, its strength depleted by the Ethiopian campaign and by its support for nationalist forces during the Spanish Civil War, was in no condition to support Germany during the first 9 months of World War II.
The Allied war effort at first was dominated by the British Commonwealth and exiles from German-occupied Europe. The United States officially entered the war in December 1941 and began direct military assistance in North Africa on 11 May 1942. This event was crucial because they were strategically important for both the Western Allies and the Axis powers. The Axis powers aimed to deprive the Allies of access to the Middle Eastern oil supplies, to secure and increase access to the oil, and to cut off Britain from the material and human resources of its empire in Asia and Africa. During the European campaign, a joint attack on the Republic of Poland by Nazi Germany, the Slovak Republic, and the Soviet Union, which marked the beginning of World War II.
Combined operations in North Africa was dubbed Operation Torch, and it was agreed that the supreme command of the invasion should be given to an American. The battles for North Africa was primarily a struggle for control for the Suez Canal and access to oil from Middle East and raw materials from Asia, but also an effort to drive Italy out of the war as a prelude to invasion of southern Europe and the planned bombing campaign against Germany.
Following the end of the North African campaign in the 1943, the European campaign, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1819 to 1969, was appointed Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Forces for Operation Overlord in late 1943 and headed Supreme Headquarters, which oversaw the entire liberation of the Nazi-occupied northwest of Europe.
The outcome of the North African had a lasting impact as the first major Allied victory of the Second World War in 1943. This allowed for subsequent invasions of Italy and France, which would begin the liberation of Europe from fascist rule. The turning point of the European campaign came when, on the 2nd of June 1941, Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union. It was the beginning of a campaign that would ultimately decide the Second World War. At first, the Germans enjoyed stunning success. The panzers forged ahead while the Luftwaffe ruled the skies, but the immense distance and difficult terrain soon caused logistical problems.
Russian troop members had been underestimated, and despite treble losses, the Soviet will fight remained strong. German forces attacked towards Leningrad in the north, Moscow in the center of Ukraine. In the south, Hitler expected a rapid victory and was not prepared for long a fight.
However, the Soviet army was large even though it was poorly trained and badly. Hitler disagreed with his generals on strategy. He delayed the thrust on Moscow to enforce his troops in the north and south. It was fateful decision. The Soviets had time to defend their capital as the brutal Russian winter took hold. The German advance ground to a halt just short of the city. Soviet forces then counterattacked, enforcing the German into the defensive. It was Hitler's first defeat of the war.
This event brought the Soviet Union into the war and began to spell the end for the Axis. Following their losses in North Africa, Germany and Italy would soon be fighting a three-front war.
In June 1940, under the name Operation Overlord, the Allied forces landed troops on northern branches of the largest amphibious assault in history, beginning in March eastward to defeat Germany. The D-Day operation of June 6, 1944 brought together the land, air, and sea forces of the Allied armies in what became known as the largest amphibious invasion in history. The operation, giving codename Overlord, delivered the Naval Assault Division to the branch of Normandy, France. The beaches were given the code names Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. The invasion force included 7,000 ships and landing craft manned over 195,000 naval personnel from 8 allied countries.
Almost 133,000 troops of the United States, the British Commonwealth, and their allies landed on D Day. The successful Allied landing in France was a psychological fall down to the German occupation of Europe. This became known as D-Day. After the invasion in May 1944, the Western Allies were finally prepared to deliver their greatest blow of World War, a long-delayed cross-channel invasion of North France. Operation Fortitude successful deceived the German high commander to expect the landing that Pastis in occupation overlord the border invasion strategy. Approximately 160,000 Allied troops were landing across the 5 beaches.
So to recap, the North African and European campaigns were a turning point in history because the Allied victory in North Africa destroyed or neutralized nearly 900,000 German and Italian troops, opened a second front against the Axis, permitted the invasion of Sicily and the Italian mainland in the summer of 1943, and removed the Axis threat to the oil fields of the Middle East and to British supply lines to Asia and Africa.
So what do you guys think happened about the campaigns? Was it interesting or not? Tell me in the comments below on Jack Badkey.